by my watch. Is that correct by everybody else's?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, my name is Jamie Doherty. I am the new residential horticultural agent and master gardener coordinator for Lake County. And I'm very excited. This is my first hosting of a webinar. Today I have Regina Doherty joining. She's one of our master gardener volunteers, and she will be doing the presentation today. Just have a few little announcements before she goes ahead and gets started. Also joining me today is Rhonda Rowell, who will be helping me to monitor questions and comments going on within the chat. We'll do our best to make sure that they're answered in the chat so we don't interrupt the presentation. But if something comes up, I'll let Reggie know. So the reason that we're doing pollinators this week is because it is Pollinators Week. I do have a link in the chat to the pollinator website so you can get a little bit more information about kind of what they're doing related to pollinators for the week. And also there's a couple of links to follow us on Facebook. There's the Master Gardener Facebook page and the Lake County Facebook page. And there you can get more information about more events and webinars that we're going to have. We actually have a new Growing Together as a Distance series coming up. Topics for that series include things like fertilizer, tree site selection, plant parts and nutrition, tropical fruits, and insects. So if you have questions about that or anything else during the presentation, please just go ahead and put it in the chat. I will be there. Again, Wanda's going to be there as well. So with that, I will turn it over to Reggie for her presentation on pollinators.
Okay, as Jamie said, my name is Regina Doherty. I'm a master gardener. I was one up in New Jersey when I lived up there, and I've been one down here for about 2.5 years now. Totally different flora and fauna between the two states, so definitely had to do it. As Jamie said, any questions you have, please put in chat and they will field them. And I guess we're ready to go. I'm going to stop my video so we can all concentrate on the PowerPoint. Okay, so basically who we are, you've seen this before if you have logged into our Zoom. Basically, we are University of Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Services, Lake County Extension Master Gardeners, and we are here to help educate all homeowners with horticulture, agriculture, livestock questions, and such. Main way to do that is through our plant clinic, which opened up this week, folks, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So if you have questions, we're back. We are a cooperative extension, education, research center. Basically, for Smith-Lever Act in 1914, we have a partnership between state land-grant universities and U.S. Department of Agriculture. Master gardeners are located in 60 counties of the 67 in Florida. Our agricultural center is on the corner of Woodley Road and Route 19, right into Varys. And why do we do this? Because, well, it's our mission, basically, for UF-IFAS to develop knowledge in agricultural, human, and natural resources, and to make that knowledge accessible to everyone. And we're here to help do that. So let's move on to today's agenda, pollinator garden design and benefits. And we'll be talking about butterflies and the host and nectar plants, the difference between them, beneficial insects, insects that are pollinators, and then more pollinators and more pollinator host and nectar plants. So there'll be a lot of nice, pretty pictures. So what do pollinators do? Well, there's over 75% of our flowering plants and almost 75% of our crops need pollination. And without them, wildlife would have fewer nutritious berries and seeds, and we'd miss all our produce and vegetables, and not to mention chocolate and coffee. All of these things depend on pollinators. And so who are pollinators? We all know about butterflies. We're going to learn about beneficial insects and bees. We all know about birds, bats, moths, flies, beetles, wasps, small mammals, the wind. But of course, we are all into the bees as our pollinators, and we'll learn about them after we learn about butterflies. Pollinator gardens provide resources for all pollinators. As you saw, it was a very extensive list, and it was not complete that you saw in the previous slide. We also, after creating a pollinator garden, help to reduce the amount of toxic pesticides in our environment, because hopefully we're not using them because we don't want to kill the pollinators. And a lot of people like to use pesticides, we know, because you want to kill all those bad bugs, like right now, all those large yellow lovers that are out there eating everybody's leaves and flowers. But remember, the plants can take it, they'll come back, and well, other things are eating the bad bugs, especially pollinators. So something to think about when you want to do your pollinator garden is your design. This picture here is from our new butterfly garden that was established last year, so it's a year old. You want to make sure that you have a vertical and horizontal diversity. In other words, tall plants, short plants, butterflies, as we see them, flit and float everywhere, as do the bees and the birds and everybody. So having high things and low things are really good for these pollinators, and it helps to increase their feeding levels, I mean, up and down. Planting in groups, with lots of colors and different plant types, as you can see in this picture, shapes, sizes, and all butterflies and different animals have different needs for what flowers they're looking for. Planting in groupings, okay, again, colors and plants, ground covers, grasses, annuals. This photo is from one of our master gardeners, Karen Cannon. And as you can see, there's a diversity of different wildflowers and large shrubs. Something else to keep in mind with garden design is that you want a mixture of flower color, shapes, and sizes, because depending on the pollinator, depends on the type of flower they go after. And we'll go through that in our slides in the future. I'm sorry, could that video be stopped? Thank you. Okay, so some butterfly facts. They're the most popular insect in the world. Everybody loves their butterflies. There's over 170 native species in Florida alone. That's a lot of butterflies, and 40 of them are unique to Florida. And I know this is a weird one to say, but butterflies don't bite. And I never thought people thought that until we did our landscape and design fair last year, and we were releasing butterflies. So as I would take a butterfly out of the packet and try to hand it to someone, a lot of people would say, "It's not going to bite me, is it?" And I was surprised. So no, butterflies don't bite. They're okay. How do I attract a butterfly? Well, plants can be in the full sun or part shade, as we will learn that butterflies basically, we'll learn this in the next slide, that they charge their wings with UV rays. So plants in the sun are going to attract a lot more butterflies. You want a lot of natives to attract those native Florida butterflies, but they also are attracted to exotics, vegetables, and herbs. You want healthy plants because you don't want to pass on any bacteria to the pollinators, in this case, butterflies. And it's also fun to ID butterflies. For instance, this is a black swallowtail that our master gardener volunteer, Mike Duvall, took a picture of. And I take lots of pictures of the butterflies in my pollinator gardens and identify them. It's just, again, it's a lot of fun, just like bird watching. Native plants what is a native plant? It's basically something that is going to grow in your area, in your region, in our case, Central Florida, because they like our soil type and they like the climate, which is hot and moist most of the time. They also have better displays with minimum care. What does that mean? That means no fertilizer needed. You use a lot less water, and they don't get as much disease or pests because, again, they're native to the area and they've learned how to adapt. Here's the butterfly garden, same shot as earlier, but as you can see, we wanted to level the playing field before we started the new butterfly garden. We needed to analyze the soil and the pH, which is something you could have done for free at our plant clinic, again, which is now open Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Is the area wet or dry? How much sun and shade does it get? How much wind? And basically all these things matter because, for instance, blue porterweed, something we sell at our plant sale. Butterflies love it. Hummingbirds, bees, everybody, every pollinator loves it. But if you plant it in a windy area, it'll get knocked over. I watched the hurricane knock one of mine right out of the ground because they're shallow roots. You want to know if your plant, again, moisture needs, how much sun does it need, how much shade does it need? And microclimate, that last bullet point, what's a microclimate? Well, it's a local atmospheric zone where the climate differs from the surrounding area. So in that earlier picture I showed you with vertical and horizontal, well, what the plant needs at the vertical level is different what the plant at the bottom level needs, because maybe it needs the shade that that taller plant is giving. So there you have a microclimate. More on planning your site. What do you want? How big do you want your garden? Do you want it just to be a few container gardens, or do you want a large one? My pollinator garden is almost my entire front yard, so I wanted a big one. The location, does it get, the water and the sun that my plants that I chose need? Yes, it did, luckily. How much maintenance do you want to do? Do you want to be constantly pruning? Do you want to be moving plants, removing plants, watering plants? And a big thing for this is, what is your budget? Because plants are not cheap, as we know, although at the end we'll show you some native plant nurseries where the prices are a little more reasonable. Okay, butterflies need plants that they can eat from, which is the nectar plants, and their eggs will be laid on what's called host plants. Host plants are what the caterpillars eat. So when you see caterpillars all over a certain plant like milkweed, that means it's a host plant, and they need that to survive. Host plants, that is, because if the caterpillars have nothing to eat, they're just going to die. So try not to kill those caterpillars when you see them, because they're going to turn into beautiful butterflies like we have here. Some monarchs and a nice little swallowtail. Nectar plants usually are warm colors or cool colors, depending on the butterfly you want to attract. So warm colors might be orange, red, yellow, pink, purple, whereas cool colors are more of the blues and whites. Flowers that are, as they say, deep-throated or trumpet-looking. You might see butterflies on, or hummingbirds, which we'll talk about. So a diversity in the types of plants that you offer are going to attract different kinds of butterflies, as you can see here from all the different pictures. The two bottom pictures, the zebra longwing and the black swallowtail, Jamie took pictures of. And I took a monarch, and I have a lot of milkweed. So as you can see, I'm sorry, I took the black swallowtail picture too, both in my pollinator garden. So two different kinds of butterflies because of the diversity of the plants. And how do they get that nectar out of there? As you can see, you got all these nice little pictures of proboscis. And what is that? That's just their mouth. As right here, if it's rolled up, they're not using it. And if it's rolled down, they're sucking out that nectar, all that good juice. So nectar plants. What are some good nectar plants for our area? As you can see here too, the pentas, very popular, and passion flower vine. Larval host plants. Look at all those eggs on this milkweed. This is actually from a Texas butterfly ranch where the lady actually raises monarch butterflies. Her name is Edith Smith, and I thought this was a great picture she took. And then those eggs turn into our lovely black, yellow, and white monarch caterpillars. Thank you, Jamie, for that picture. The eggs are usually laid on the underside of leaves. Of course, at this ranch, the butterflies are laying them everywhere. And the female butterfly, excuse me, identifies plants by seeing them and saying, oh, that's a good plant. And then just double checking that it's a good plant by walking over the plant and sensing what the plant is with her feet. So she, just like a bird, she's going to check things out before she lays her eggs. Some more larval host plants. Yes, swallowtails actually like some parsley. There's, yeah, the parsley gets flowers. You might see skippers or buckeyes on your frog fruit and paspalum grass. The winged elm attracts an eastern comma. Beautiful. Looks kind of like a monarch, but not with the stripes. And this lovely weed, the bidens, will attract your dainty sulfurs and skippers. Of course, they attract many more, but these are just a few pictures. Oaks, lots of oaks in this area. You might see a south oak hair streak. And passion vine, of course, you'll see your zebra longwing, our state butterfly, or some Gulf fritillaries. Some butterflies also prefer fermenting fruit. The smell attracts them. Here you see a tawny emperor and some monarchs. Water is very important to butterflies, believe it or not, and they just need a little bit. And here are some methods that people provide water. They can also get it just from little puddles in the sand, like you see on the bottom here. Photo courtesy of Jamie again. This first photo on the left, top left, has dissolved salts in water. And here's a dew. And then this little guy here is up on top of some water beads. Butterflies also need shelter. And this should look familiar to what birds need as well. Water, shelter, food sources. We have some sleeping monarchs in a tree. Yes, butterflies, they like to sleep too. Zebra longwings also sleeping in a tree. And then some people like to buy those butterfly townhouses. It will help protect them. Haven't seen too many of them used, but give it a try, you never know. So if you want butterflies, again, you've got to avoid using pesticides because pesticides are not always systemic. It might say this kills this thing only, but that's not always the case. Pesticides are going to kill anything it comes in contact with, and a lot of those could be beneficial, which is the praying mantis on the bottom left. And you might be wanting to kill these little orange things, which are actually milkweed bug larvae. They look like butterfly eggs, but they're not. Monarch butterfly eggs are white. So these little orange things I took a closer look at and found out they're moving. That's because they're milkweed bug larvae. But if you see over here, there's a little monarch caterpillar. So if I sprayed this plant, I'd be killing him and a future butterfly. So be tolerant of whatever plant damage the caterpillars do because it'll grow back. And I have proof in my yard because I have milkweed plants that have been decimated by the caterpillars, and the leaves grew right back within a few months. Sometimes it takes a year, but the plant still grew back. I didn't have to pull it out because I was told those leaves will grow back. And again, we want to learn to recognize beneficial insects. Well, I think we all know about the praying mantis. What you may not know is that it is illegal to kill a praying mantis in Florida. So please don't do that. Some more Florida beneficial insects to recognize. We have our green lacewing adult. As you can see, these are small. You're not gonna, they look big here, but they're probably a 1/4 inch. Lady beetles, we all know what those are, ladybugs. Lady beetle larvae. Interesting, right, that this becomes this. And lacewing larvae, again, this ugly looking thing becomes this beneficial bug. Some more beneficials, we have the assassin bug, which does go after milkweed bugs. So if you see that guy on your milkweed, that's good, he's killing the bad bug. Big-eyed bugs, exactly what they have. They have large eyes, and they are killing other small bugs like aphids, syrphid flies, and their larvae also will feed on scale and aphids. So again, know your beneficial bugs. If you're not sure, take a picture, send it to our clinic, and we'll help you identify it. Some other pollinators, let's talk about them. We got beetles and wasps and bees and hornets. So let's meet the bees. We have some honeybees here. We have a bumblebee. These are some sweat bees and longhorned because they have very long antennae. And I don't think the cellophane bee is on here, but we'll talk about them. So Bombus Bumblebees. There are actually 5 species in Florida, and they're a very social bee. And I'm sure we've all recognized them. They're very large. They're very slow moving compared to other bees, and they're very noisy. Females can sting, almost like a bite. But I don't think I've ever been stung by one. They really leave you alone. Bumblebees use buzz pollination. Well, what's that? It's basically they go up to the flower and buzz. They don't feed with their tongue or anything. They just buzz it and get the pollen in their basket, which you see down here. This is actually pollen being collected by this bumblebee. They're excellent for vegetables and other produce plants, and you might see them in the ground. That's where they nest, in the ground. A lot of bees in Florida do. So if you see larger holes, it's most likely you got some bees there. Carpenter bees. Yes, they love wood, and they will nest in trees or wood on your house. They look like bumblebees, but the difference is you can see here on the bottom, they're more black. And let me go back to the previous slide. And the bumblebee is a lot more yellow and white and fuzzy. Hopefully you see that difference. They collect pollen on the brush hairs of their hind legs. They don't carry a little pollen basket like the bumblebee does. And the females sting. And they're also good pollinators for our produce, but also flowers. They also use buzz pollination, especially when the anthers, which is the male part of the flower, is small. They'll buzz it so that they get the pollen out. So when you hear buzzing bees around the flowers, they're just saying, yum, give me some more. Sweat bees. Sweat bees can be solitary, communal, or totally sociable with other sweat bees. They're small, black, and have a little metallic look to their bodies. They carry pollen on the hairs and on their back, as you can see from this bottom left picture. Lots of pollen all over this guy. And they also pollinate crops, but wildflowers, and they also nest in the ground. As you can see this guy here going into the hole in the ground in the bottom right. Leaf cutting bees. Hopefully you can see this on the bottom left where I've circled. Look at those nice geometrical cuts in all these leaves. Well, this is the kind doing it, the leaf cutting bee. They use cut leaves to make their nests. And the nests are made in cavities, which could be, any kind of trees or stumps that you have around the yard. When they pollinate, the female carries the pollen on the hairs of the underside of their abdomen rather than on their legs like other bees that I've just talked about. And the leaf cutting bees don't really go after you to sting unless you, like right next to them and trying to touch them, then they might sting you. European honeybee, the bee that everybody knows and loves, the fuzzy little guy, and he makes honey that we love to eat. They actually make 2 to 3 times more honey than they need, which is okay when we take it. And they also use a pollen basket, as you can see down here on the bottom left. He's got his little pollen baskets on by his hind legs. And females do sting. Okay, let's see a couple of beetles. We're not really going to see more than just this one slide, but thank you, Jamie, for having some pictures of you on your own. And I got one from another website called xerces.org. So Jamie took a great picture here of a soldier beetle, which is also a beneficial. So we don't want to kill him. And here's another shot of a different looking soldier beetle. They look a lot like the milkweed bug too. So again, we need to know the difference of what all our bugs look like. And beetles, little tidbit here, are actually one of the oldest pollinators. They started visiting flowering plants about 150 million years ago. Yep, that's a good 50 million years earlier than bees. And they pollinate by canthorophily, which means carrying pollen from one flower to another. So basically the pollen gets stuck on them, then they go to the next flower, and there you go, it gets pollinated. Another type of animal that are the same thing, canthorophily, are bats, and we'll be talking about them soon. Flowers that beetles like are usually bowl-shaped with the male and female organs exposed, white to dull white or green. They smell fruity. They're open during the day, are moderate nectar producers, because again, they're just really looking for the pollen and a little bit of nectar. They may go after your large solitary flowers like magnolias or the pond lilies, and clusters of small flowers like goldenrods and spirea. So let's talk about the bats and birds. We've already talked about the bees. In this picture here, it's a beautiful ruby-throated hummingbird at milkweed in my pollinator garden. And this is something I got off of UF-IFAS, which is a Mexican long-tongued bat going after one of these tubular flowers, and we'll talk more about them. 13 species of bats live in Florida year-round. It's also illegal to kill most of them. They're attracted to fruity, fermenting, smelling blooms, and although most of them feed on insects, they will go after nectar. Now this guy here, he's a foxtail bat. He's normally doesn't have an orange nose. That's all pollen. So he's also going to carry pollen to another flower when he goes and visits that one. Guano, which is bat feces, is actually a slow release fertilizer. So if you do have bats in your area, leave that guano, leave it to fertilize your area right below them. You can even provide a bat house, and bat houses are, larger, much larger than a birdhouse, and they are very specific on how they're made. For instance, the slits for the butterfly house we saw earlier, the slits were in the front. For a bat house, they're in the bottom so that they can fly up into it and hang on to the sides. If you go to our EDIS website, EDIS website, you can put in bat house and it'll even tell you how to make one. Bats like to live in Spanish moss, tree cavities, palm fronds, foliage, a bat house, buildings, bridges, utility poles, anywhere that they could be out of the sunlight during the day. Okay, there are a lot of plants on this slide, I know, but plants that are dependent on bats. Lots of fruit trees, as you can see. Guava, banana, mangoes, figs, who knew? And then you have a lot of night blooming plants. Well, that makes sense since the bat comes out at night. So these are all plants that bloom at night. Let's go on to birds now. Hummingbirds specifically. We have a lot of beautiful birds here, hummingbirds, and the 4 that are mostly seen in Central Florida, let's say, are these 4 right here. Your ruby-throated, your calliope, which I love, they have those, what they call whiskers. They're feathers that are underneath their chin that stick up. You have a rufous, which looks a lot like a ruby-throated, and a black-chinned hummingbird. Hummingbird nectar plants, there's a lot of them. As you can see, they prefer these tubular looking flowers so they could stick that beak right into it, which is why hummingbird feeders are popular with them, because they're able to stick their beak into the holes there. Some popular plants are, the red buckeye, crossvines, firebush, calamint, and coral bean. They also like standing cypress, bottlebrush, fire spike, shrimp plants, 4 o'clocks, and milkweed, as you can see here in this picture that I took right out in my front yard. So you want to have really healthy pollinator-friendly plants and flowers, and that's all about Florida-friendly gardens. It's important to have plants that will be sustained not only animals, but the soil and the environment as well. As we all know, we get a lot of oxygen from trees, for instance. In this picture here in my pollinator garden, we have some white shrimp, blue porterweed, and red salvia in the background, all different types of plants, all different sizes and shapes. And that's the important thing when you want to attract pollinators. And let's look at some more pollinating plants. Fire spike is very popular, of course, with hummingbirds. As you can see, they have the long, and firebush have the nice long tubular plant flowers. You have your pentas, which the longwings love, the Mexican sage, native and tropical milkweeds, sunflowers, marigolds, verbena, petunias, zinnias. Zinnias are a favorite of swallowtails. Coral honeysuckle, you'll see your butterflies, but you'll also see some hummingbirds around. Bidens, Duranta, and the buttonbush, again, butterfly favorites. And all these beautiful, again, see all the different types of flowers, how some of them are flat, like the gaillardia and dune sunflowers. Others are tubular, or the liatris here, which monarchs love because it's got shallow flowers. And some more, again, beautiful. We got some purples and yellows going on here. Caterpillar host plants. They love their herbs. And yes, they are going to decimate your herbs. So be sure to grow some for yourself. We're coming to an end now. Some native plant nurseries in our area, Struthers. They propagate and grow their own plants there. It's over on Route 561 going towards Astatula. Huge land, and they have lots of diverse plants there, all very healthy. Green Isle Gardens in Groveland. The Yard Stop in Mount Dora, a lot of you I'm sure know about that. Lucas Nursery over in Oviedo. They have lots of trees too, not just plants. Beezy's Happy Plants, that's over on Route 19 in Umatilla. Small place. You could probably pass it a couple of times, but she's always got some natives over there. And if you're interested in finding more Florida Associate native nurseries, then go ahead to their website. I've got that right here. Hopefully you can see that. I'll give you a couple minutes to write it down. I do believe this presentation will be made available to anyone who is participating and signed in.
Yes, it will.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, some references and resources. The original presentation was from the Orange County Extension, and it was mostly on butterflies. So we used some of their slides and then created a bunch of our own. And then again, these are some resources that I went to. As you can see, we have our own entomology department in the University of Florida. That's a great site for helping to identify any kind of insect you see. And if you're interested in us doing a speaking event, when we are able to do speaking events again, which possibly will be late in the fall, but definitely 2021, contact our office, and Wanda, who's on this call, will be more than happy to help you. Other sites that you can get a lot of good information about plants and anything else are these here. EDIS, which I spoke about before. Gardening Solutions, also a UF-IFAS website. And Master Gardener Volunteers, we're always looking for new volunteers, and we have classes every year, and we're looking at having one next year. Not sure when, again, that's all dependent on our times right now, but you can always put your name in by sending it to Wanda.
Well, thank you very much, Reggie. That was a really nice presentation. There haven't been many questions in the chat. I have, however, put a lot of extra information that I was kind of typing up as you were speaking for some interesting facts. So if you're on here and you didn't look at that, there's some extra information there. And before we left, I just wanted to see if anybody had any questions. Also, you can email me. I put my email in the chat as well. So if you're interested in classes or the Master Gardener program or anything like that, you're also able to contact me. And I am starting to make kind of lists of requests for classes that people have coming up, so that as I can get out and start teaching, that they are under consideration. So anybody have any questions or anything about the presentation?
Oh, Jamie, you were busy in the chat.
Was. Pollinators are one of my favorites. Oh, we have somebody all the way from Collier County.
Wow. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jeanette. All right. Well, if we don't have any questions, we can go ahead and end this call, end this class a little bit early. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook to find out more about classes that are coming up. And I hope to see more of you in classes in the future. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining.